So off the bat, I want to state that I am not stopping watching TNA. I'm just taking a step back from covering it on the channel, pretty much, because pretty much every review at the minute has been very negatively guided, and I was obviously supposed to cover at this time, literally a video is supposed to be out now, it's supposed to be the No Surrender review, and simply I'm not putting that one out because I didn't do it. I watched the event and I kind of just wanted to not cover it on the channel anymore, basically because I don't want to be negative about TNA all the time. I want to be positive about TNA, but a lot of what's going on in TNA is confusing me massively. So the decision of not covering it on the channel anymore isn't because I'm angry, isn't because I want to moan about the product and stuff. It's basically because I don't see how there is a clear direction going forward for TNA, and I don't want every review that you watch to just be me moan on about how I don't like this or I don't like that. I feel like that's not entertaining for you guys, it's not entertaining for me to make, and I don't want content to become a chore for me when, you know, I want to enjoy all the content that I make. So when it comes to this video, I'm not here, as I said, to moan and complain on the internet about wrestling. I want to present my kind of vision towards what I'd like to see TNA do, and changes I think could improve viewing for myself and give that kind of direction to a company that I want to invest in, I want to fall in love with again. So my main issue with TNA is I don't see the clarity in what's going on. I feel like I'm either missing a step here, or there's something I'm missing as to why decisions are being made that are going on, pretty much. And it starts with the TNA World Championship scene. I've said in reviews before that I don't quite understand the constant use of not only already accomplished superstars, because I kind of get that point, but the wrestling old wrestlers like your Frankie Kazarians, your Nick Nemeths, your Eddie Edwards. Now, as a one-off feud for a world championship, I totally understand if they want to make the champion more legit going forward, especially a new world champion like a Mike Santana. You can use a top spot for a older guy to make the reign feel prestigious, make it feel important, have it so, this young guy or this young kid thinks he can be a world champion, but he's going to have to face me to do it. I get it, it's been done a million times, I totally get that. My issue becomes when these guys are sticking around the main event scene and winning opportunities like Feast or Fired, like the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, where these opportunities should be going to not younger guys, but just people who are on the cusp of the main event. You know, a little bit like what Money in the Bank should be for WWE. Not this past year, but in the past it has done that. Especially when you've got like one of the biggest babyfaces in the company, if not the biggest babyface in the company, in Mike Santana, of course, where you could have guys and heels like AJ Francis and Mustafa Ali feud with Mike Santana, but these feuds could turn into big, intense rivalries that could define a time period or a year or just like a few months. As I said, it could define anything really, because like Mustafa Ali versus Mike Santana could be a rivalry that transcends through TNA, which I feel like is something TNA is really missing right now, is the fact that they don't have or don't seem to be setting up any big rivalries for the future. But yeah, instead they're having, the guys like the past generation of, Eddie Edwards, Nick Nemeth, Frankie Kazarian come in, and it kind of feels like a massive step backwards in what the World Championship should be about. And yeah, there's the case of Leon Evans is a very good example of someone who is on the cusp of the main event scene, is being a great X Division champion, has really been the saving grace for TNA going at the minute of this past year, but maybe a little bit less than this past year, who is obviously doing stuff on WWE, doing stuff in NXT, but also having probably the best matches on every show that he's been on in TNA. And I feel like he'll probably end up being a future world champion if he sticks around for that long. It feels like WWE are going to poach him literally as soon as his contract talks start happening, but they definitely could use him as a stride forwards. But it genuinely right now feels like the old guys are just trying to take over again, and I'm not the biggest fan of that, as it's not quite the issue like WWE have in a aging roster right now, but it's a case of these guys have, I don't know, it's just these guys feel like they've had their time and there's no one around to kind of take that spot from them, so they're having to stay in that spot, which just isn't great in my opinion. Following that, and probably the more ranting and moaning side of the video, because there's always going to be that kind of section in these kind of videos, as much as I don't want to, is the tag team division, and it's very, very simple. I'm going to keep it very short, as short as I can. The Hardys need to lose them titles. I've said it multiple times. I've said it in many predictions videos I've done, and I think I've predicted against the Hardys almost every time a TNA pay-per-view or special event has come up. Yeah, I feel like they're hurting the tag division massively. They've got some really, really good tag teams in the Good Hands / Order 4. They had the Rascals, who they unfortunately let go of, and they've gone to AEW, but they've got Sinner and Saint, who look like they're going to be a really good tag team. The Righteous are a great tag team. And yeah, it just feels like the Hardys keeping those titles for so long, as in like they were champions for like 250 plus days of a 365 day year. So they weren't champions when the Nemesis were champions, but yeah, it just feels like they're doing more damage than helping the tag team division, if that makes sense. And it really feels like the Righteous was a good team to kind of give the belts to a few months ago, and they didn't go with that, which was unfortunate. But yeah, it just, as I said, very, very quick, very simple, but I just want the Hardys to lose the belts. I want TNA to go back to being a brand and a company who really put investment in their tag division, and there's really a chance that they could do that and become not the tag team company, but you know, both WWE and AEW don't have the best reputation on tag team wrestling as of right now. TNA could use that to kind of boost their own tag team division and yeah, make tag team wrestling cool again, essentially, or become one of the companies to do it first again. And yeah, they're really missing the step, having the Hardys, who are clearly, like, they're not even past it. They're just hurting matches every time they're in matches because they're just really bad now. And it seems harsh to say, but I haven't been happy with the Hardys match in a very long time. And yeah, as I just can't help, and I've said it multiple times now, I can't help but feel like they are just hurting the division. Next, I have the Knockouts division, and this is just a case of placing great wrestlers and stars in the correct positions within the division and within the card, because the amount of potential that this division has is next to limitless. You know, some of the talent they have are so freaking good that TNA are shooting themselves in the foot by not taking advantage of some of these brilliant ladies. Like, you've got the ladies that are experienced, they're great in the ring, stars. Like, just with name alone, they're stars within TNA, like Victoria Crawford, also, or formerly known as Alicia Fox. Obviously, Tessa Blanchard, I know she has the controversy around her name, but I feel like they've kind of got past that point now, and they should be putting her back in that main event spot where she was arguably in 2019. And I know this was the year that Becky Lynch got really big. I would argue that Tessa Blanchard in ring was the best women's wrestler in the world. And you've also got Rosemary as well, who they recently celebrated her as being the first knockout to just stay consistently with the company for 10 years. They could use that within a storyline to have her challenge for the Knockouts Championship once again. But instead, she was the first knockout eliminated from the Battle Royal at No Surrender, which I thought was incredibly insulting. Names from the big place that pretty much want to prove why they shouldn't have been released in the first place, and should use TNA like people have done before to elevate their stock again, become even better in the ring, so then they get probably back there again if that's what they want. Women like Indy Hartwell, Elena Black, and Mara Sade, I feel like have the biggest futures in TNA. Hopefully, women, I would say that these three women should be the next 3 Knockouts champions, but instead we gave it to Ariana Grace. Interesting. You've also got the underutilized talent that can absolutely go in the ring. You know, your Dani Luna, Steph DeLander, and Tasha Steelz. I feel like all 3 women are absolutely fantastic. Dani Luna is someone I've had an investment in for quite a while, and they just haven't or barely used her. She was supposed to get the Knockouts Championship match at Genesis this year, but obviously visa issues is the reason why she didn't get it, and I'd like to think that maybe she was going to win the title there, but it didn't seem like it. You also obviously got the former Knockout champion in Lei Ying Lee, who could go in the, you know, the proving themselves once again category with Elena Black and Indy Hartwell. But yeah, you know, Tasha Steelz is a former Knockout champion herself, but she's been used more as a manager for Order 4 rather than a in-ring competitor, which I feel like is a massive loss for the division. And Steph DeLander, again, just like Tasha Steelz, is used more of a manager when she has more than proven herself on the indies as a fantastic wrestler, so why not have her wrestle more? And then on the bench as well, I feel like people have completely forgotten about at this point, because she has been on the bench and injured for quite a while, is Kaylin King. She is a star ready to happen upon return. I feel like she was really building some great momentum when she got injured, unfortunately. And I'm really hoping that TNA struck the rocket to her when she comes back and really pushes her towards main eventing, because she is a great in-ring talent. But instead, the Knockout title is on an NXT star, and not only an NXT star, but no offense to Ariana Grace, and I've said this before, Ariana Grace just isn't ready yet. She has great potential, her character work is absolutely fantastic, but in ring, it's just not that great. And as I said, she's in the best place she could possibly be in within the PC, within the Performance Center in WWE, to improve in ring, but to put a world championship on it is very questionable decision making. And yeah, to think that also Jodie Threat won the Battle Royal, meaning that a world championship match is going to be Ariana Grace versus Jodie Threat, just doesn't sit well with me at all. And yeah, there's, as I said, all these women I've named before could be in that position, could be feuding with each other for the Knockouts Championship, and I would be absolutely up for it. So once again, like, Ariana Grace winning the title felt like a massive step backwards when it really shouldn't have been. The division is absolutely stacked, and they need to start treating it that way. And with the amount of women that they have on the roster, yeah, they can't push everyone all at once. So why not kind of make a women's X Division championship? I mean, that's long overdue and something they could have had quite a few years ago. But yeah, absolutely. At the minute, with how that division is, that really could end up being something that lights up the women's division within TNA. So yeah, they're all my takes on TNA right now. I know it's probably going to sound like I'm just bitching and moaning. I promise you I'm not. I fully want to continue watching TNA. I will continue watching TNA. I'll just watch it more as a fan rather than from a content creator perspective. And then once it starts improving again, I'll probably end up covering it again on the channel. I know there's been a few different times on this channel over the years where I've gone into TNA covering it, then taken a step back and then gone back in again. And it's just a case of going through that cycle again, really. I'm going to probably... I feel like if things have picked up again when Slammiversary comes around, I'll probably end up covering Slammiversary. If not, maybe covering Bound for Glory again, or just covering the pay-per-views rather than the TNA Plus specials is something I could do. But yeah, do let me know in the comments just like what you think of TNA in general and what you think of the current products. I'm interested to see other people's perspectives on the product right now, to see if I'm not the only one who feels the same way, that it's kind of directionless and nothing really makes a lot of sense right now. But also, I mean, I'm open to, like, maybe I'm seeing things wrongly. As I said, maybe I'm missing something that I can't seem to understand. So yeah, do put down in the comments below what you think, and I'm sure we can have a good discussion about it below. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. There's a lot of content coming up on the channel as far as Elimination Chamber goes. There'll be coverage of that next week. There's going to be my top matches from Elimination Chamber PLEs. There's going to be my top Elimination Chamber matches, as well as, of course, predictions and a review as well. So do look out for those by subscribing. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening to my rant, if you took it that way, but it wasn't a rant. It was constructive criticism, if you will. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.